There is a saying that goes, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But what if I told you that a journey toward a longer life begins with just 5 minutes, not a 5-hour gym session, not a marathon, not even a morning boot camp, just 5 minutes. 5 minutes of walking, done consistently, can be the most revolutionary thing you ever do for your health, your mind, and your life. In a world obsessed with extremes, extreme diets, extreme workouts, extreme productivity, this may sound absurdly simple. But it is precisely this simplicity that hides a life-altering truth. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine standing at the edge of two possible futures. One future sees you at 70, vibrant, flexible, mentally sharp, walking with ease, free from chronic pain, filled with energy. The other future, stooped, tired, riddled with preventable ailments, a prisoner in your own body, counting pills instead of sunsets. Now imagine that the only difference between those two futures was whether or not you gave 5 minutes a day to your body. The beauty of walking is not in its complexity, but in its accessibility. You don't need a trainer, a gym membership, or special gear. You just need to show up for yourself. Even more powerful than the walk itself is the habit it forms. 5 minutes teaches discipline. 5 minutes opens the door, and before you know it, the walk becomes a path, then a road, then a lifestyle. The hardest step you will ever take is the first one out the door. But it is also the most important one you'll ever take. There is science behind this simplicity. Just 5 minutes of walking daily improves circulation, strengthens the heart, activates the lymphatic system, boosts brain health, and lowers stress levels. It improves your posture, sharpens your focus, and slowly reverses the damage done by hours of sitting. Over time, this compounds, and this compounding, done every day, becomes your legacy. In 5 minutes, you're not just walking. You're making a decision to live. That's what this speech is about. Not exercise, but transformation. Not intensity, but consistency. Not adding effort, but adding life. 5 minutes a day may sound small, but like a drop of water carving stone over time, it is not the power of the drop. It is the persistence of the fall. Let's dive into 3 transformative shifts that just 5 minutes of walking can initiate, physically, mentally, and spiritually. In a world constantly racing toward the next goal, we have forgotten the value of slowing down. We chase after peak performance, fast results, and overnight success. But the true secret lies in repetition, in consistency, in the gentle, unwavering rhythm of daily movement. When you commit to walking for just 5 minutes a day, you are not just moving your body, you are shifting your entire life trajectory. What starts as a brief pause in your day becomes an anchor. It becomes the space where clarity returns, where the body reconnects with the breath, where chaos softens into calm. It's in these 5 minutes that we discover a truth long hidden from modern living, that simplicity sustains. It's not the complex solutions that transform us. It's the humble, intentional rituals done repeatedly that carve new realities. Walking doesn't just strengthen your muscles, it strengthens your decisions. Every step whispers, I choose to show up. Every step says, I still believe in myself. Over weeks and months, these steps turn into a trail of discipline, self-respect, and presence. And this is what adds years to your life, not just in quantity, but in quality. After all, what good is living longer if you don't feel alive? Let us not underestimate the power of small beginnings. A 5-minute walk can be your rebellion against stagnation, your proof that you still have agency over your life. Your statement that you will not go quietly into a life of disease, fatigue, and regret. You will walk step by step into a future where your body supports your dreams and your mind honors your spirit. Here's the truth. Longevity isn't bought in a bottle, downloaded in an app, or earned by grinding harder than everyone else. It is built quietly, patiently, and steadily, with every heartbeat, every breath, and yes, every step. So, what are you waiting for? The next 5 minutes of your life could be the beginning of your next 30 years. There is something deeply forgotten in our daily routines, a basic truth that the human body was made to move. Yet, in the modern world, the very nature of how we live has chained us to stillness. We sit in front of screens, remain stationary during commutes, and unwind on couches at the end of exhausting days. But beneath all that stillness, the body is craving to awaken. This awakening doesn't require an overhaul of your life. It doesn't demand grueling workouts or fitness regimes that you struggle to keep up with. Instead, it begins in the most unassuming way, a 5-minute walk, and what this walk initiates in your body goes far beyond what you might imagine. It becomes a slow, burning miracle, a transformation not loud or immediate, but deeply profound. Walking, especially when done regularly and mindfully, begins to revive parts of your body that have gone dormant. Muscles that have tightened due to hours of sitting begin to loosen. Joints locked in stiffness start to regain mobility. With every step, the mechanics of your body start to come alive again. The legs pump, the hips swing, the arms move in rhythm, the lungs expand. Blood begins to circulate more efficiently, carrying oxygen to areas that have been starved. The heart responds not with strain, but with gratitude. Your cardiovascular system recognizes the movement as something familiar, something it was built for. It says, yes, this is how I'm supposed to function. What makes this so powerful is that the effort is minimal, yet the response from the body is significant. After just a few days of 5-minute walks, something subtle begins to change. The stiffness in your back isn't as sharp. Your posture begins to shift. Your breathing deepens. You find yourself moving more fluidly, almost without noticing. These changes are not accidental. They are evidence that your body is responding to your decision to move. Let's speak honestly, the human body deteriorates when it's not used. Muscles atrophy, bones weaken, blood flow becomes sluggish. Over time, the lack of movement doesn't just create discomfort, it creates disease. Heart conditions, diabetes, joint issues, poor digestion, even cognitive decline, all have roots in prolonged inactivity. Now contrast that with what a daily 5-minute walk initiates. It strengthens the very foundation of your health. Not in dramatic fashion, but through a steady and persistent return to what your body knows best, movement. The moment you step outside or even pace in your living room, your spine begins to realign. Your shoulders fall into place. Your core muscles engage just enough to stabilize you. The fascia that wraps around your muscles begins to loosen. It's like oiling a machine that had been rusting slowly. Over time, the quality of your movement improves, and with it, so does your energy. You feel less fatigued, your digestion improves, your sleep becomes deeper. These aren't coincidences. They're the body's thank you note for those 5 minutes. There is also a neurological component to this. When we walk, especially in a natural environment, we stimulate the brain's motor cortex. This activity does more than move your legs. It activates neural pathways associated with memory, balance, coordination, and mood regulation. Every time you walk, you're literally improving the wiring of your brain. Your mental clarity increases. You feel more alert. Dopamine and serotonin are released in small doses, naturally lifting your mood. And while this may not seem dramatic at first, over time it becomes a powerful shift in your baseline state. You begin to feel better, not just after the walk, but overall. One of the most overlooked benefits of walking is how it combats inflammation. Chronic inflammation is the silent villain behind many age-related diseases, from heart problems to arthritis to certain cancers. Regular, low-impact movement, like walking, helps regulate the body's inflammatory response. This means fewer aches and pains, fewer flare-ups of hidden conditions, and an internal environment that supports healing rather than harm. And remember, 5 minutes a day adds up to over 2.5 hours a month. That's over 30 hours of healing movement a year that your body might otherwise be denied. Then there's the issue of metabolic health. Sedentary lifestyles have made insulin resistance a quiet epidemic. But walking helps regulate blood sugar levels. Just 5 minutes after a meal, especially a heavier one, can drastically reduce the glucose spike that often follows. This not only supports long-term metabolic health, but also helps with weight regulation and energy levels. You feel more stable throughout the day, no more crashes, no more uncontrollable hunger or foggy afternoons, just a body in rhythm, processing fuel the way it was designed to. It's easy to underestimate the physical reawakening that walking provides because it feels so simple. But that's where its genius lies. Simplicity allows for sustainability. Anyone, regardless of age, body type, or fitness level, can start. And once you start, your body doesn't just adapt, it rejoices. The tightness in your calves eases, your hips start to open, your breathing slows and deepens, and as this becomes a daily ritual, your body starts looking forward to it. Muscles remember, joints remember. The nervous system remembers. You've triggered a cascade of biological functions that, over time, make you younger in every way that counts. Most people spend fortunes trying to reverse what inactivity has done to their bodies. Pills, programs, surgeries, endless consultations, and yet, often, the most effective intervention is the one that costs nothing, just 5 minutes of your day. But this is not just about physical function. It's about reclaiming the relationship with your own body. When you walk daily, you're telling your body, I haven't forgotten you, I still value you, and in return, the body responds by becoming more alive, more responsive, more resilient. This is why those 5 minutes are not just movement, they are medicine, they are permission, they are power. In those 5 minutes, you're saying yes to your health, to your potential, and to a future where your body continues to support you in everything you wish to do. The walk may be short, but the results echo across your entire life. With consistency, 5 minutes will awaken parts of you that have been silent for years, and in doing so, you begin to not only add more years to your life, but far more life to your years. When we think about movement, we often focus solely on its physical impact, how it tones the muscles, strengthens the heart, or improves flexibility. But movement is not just a mechanical process. It is deeply connected to the mind. Every step you take in a 5-minute walk is also a step toward mental clarity, emotional balance, and internal peace. In fact, the real gift of a simple daily walk often unfolds not in the legs, but in the mind. This is the second transformation, a mental reset that becomes possible only when the body is gently nudged out of inertia and into rhythm. And it all begins when you decide to walk, even if just for 5 minutes. Modern life has conditioned the mind to stay constantly occupied. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded with notifications, demands, responsibilities, and overstimulation. Our minds are rarely still and rarely clear. They are cluttered with deadlines, regrets, comparisons, and anxieties. Over time, this clutter weighs us down in ways we don't even realize. The mind becomes a room full of noise, and clarity becomes a distant luxury. But something incredible happens when you step away from your desk, your couch, or your phone and begin to walk. The mind begins to slow, it begins to clear, thought becomes more fluid, ideas untangle themselves. The pressure begins to lift. This is not accidental. When you walk, your brain shifts into a different mode, one where the prefrontal cortex responsible for decision-making and logical thinking gets a chance to rest. In this space, your thoughts are no longer forced. They begin to emerge naturally. This is why many people get their best ideas while walking. It's not magic, it's biology. Movement helps reduce the cortisol levels in your body, and when stress hormones decrease, the brain stops operating in survival mode. It can finally breathe. It can finally think. Even if you weren't consciously aware of it, the 5-minute walk becomes a kind of moving meditation. You are still, even while in motion. We often look for solutions to mental burnout in productivity hacks, new schedules, and time management apps. But what the mind truly needs is not more systems. It needs space. It needs air. It needs silence. Walking gives it all of that. Even in a noisy world, walking creates internal silence. That silence is where mental energy regenerates. That silence is where emotional knots begin to loosen. You start to process things differently. You become more patient, more observant, more receptive. Instead of reacting to everything, you begin responding with intention. The mental reset also impacts your emotional state. Movement, even gentle walking, activates endorphins, the body's natural feel-good chemicals. These chemicals don't just make you feel good, they also improve emotional regulation. You're less likely to overreact, less likely to spiral into frustration or sadness, and over time, this has a ripple effect. Relationships improve, focus improves, self-esteem builds. 5 minutes might not seem like enough to shift your entire mental landscape, but like a single spark in a dark room, it begins to illuminate everything else. This practice also trains the mind in another powerful way. It teaches you to be present. We live in a constant state of distraction. Our minds jump between the past and the future, between worry and regret. Rarely are we here in this moment. Walking grounds you. With each step, you reconnect with your breath. You notice the rhythm of your body. You feel your feet on the ground. These sensations are powerful anchors to the present. And in the present, the mind is free. It doesn't have to fix the past or predict the future. It can simply exist. This, too, is healing. Over time, this mental presence spills into other parts of your life. You become more mindful in conversations, more aware of your habits, more in tune with what nourishes you and what drains you. You begin to see your life more clearly, not just in terms of tasks and roles, but in terms of values and direction, all because you chose to walk for 5 minutes a day, all because you allowed your mind the space to reset. There's also a deeper mental transformation that walking enables: resilience. In those 5 minutes, especially on the days when you don't feel like walking, you build a small mental victory. You prove to yourself that discipline is possible. You remind yourself that you are not helpless in the face of stress. You show yourself that even when the world feels chaotic, you can create your own order, and these small wins compound. You begin to believe in your own capacity to change, to show up, to care for your own well-being. This is mental strength, not in the sense of toughness or resistance, but in the sense of flexibility, clarity, and calm under pressure. Walking also allows you to reframe problems. Often, we are stuck in our own heads, spinning the same stories, the same fears, over and over again. But movement creates motion in thought. As your body moves, so do your perceptions. What once felt overwhelming begins to feel manageable. What once felt like a wall now feels like a stepping stone. You start to see options instead of limitations. That shift alone can be the difference between staying stuck and moving forward, not just physically, but in every area of your life. This is why walking is not just physical therapy, it is mental liberation. It offers a way out of the loop. It breaks the pattern of thought, the paralysis of overwhelm, and the noise of the world. And in its place, it gives you silence, clarity, and insight. You return from a walk not just refreshed but realigned. You remember who you are beneath the stress. You remember what matters. You remember that clarity is always just a few steps away. What makes this reset so powerful is that it does not require belief. You don't need to meditate for hours, chant mantras, or journal for pages. All you need to do is walk. The body and mind are so interconnected that even a small movement in one initiates transformation in the other. That 5-minute walk becomes a daily reset button. Press it, and the day shifts. Press it, and the mind breathes again. And as that breath deepens, life becomes lighter. So, never underestimate the power of those minutes. They may seem brief, but they contain within them the ability to transform your entire mental landscape. In those few steps, you don't just move your body, you create peace in your mind, you come back to yourself. You come back to stillness even in motion, and from that stillness, everything else becomes possible. There comes a point in one's journey where the body has begun to awaken, the mind has found some peace, and yet, there still remains something deeper, something less tangible that begins to stir. It is not muscle or memory or mood, it is something much quieter, yet far more profound. It is the spirit, the essence of who you are beneath your roles, your achievements, and even your thoughts. While a 5 5-minute walk may seem like a purely physical or mental activity on the surface. There is a hidden dimension to it that transcends both. Walking, when done mindfully and consistently, begins to align you with yourself in a spiritual sense. It reconnects you not only to your body and breath, but to the rhythm of life itself, and in a world that so often feels disjointed, hurried, and fragmented, this return to inner harmony becomes a sacred act. To walk is to participate in the most ancient form of human movement. Our ancestors walked to survive, to explore, to migrate, to connect. Every culture, every spiritual tradition has some form of walking meditation, pilgrimage, or sacred travel. There is something about placing one foot in front of the other that doesn't just move the body. It brings the soul into motion as well. It is one of the few actions that naturally synchronizes the body, the mind, and the spirit. When you walk with awareness, even if only for 5 minutes, you begin to hear things that the noise of the world had drowned out. The beating of your heart, the sound of your breath, the subtle pull of gravity, the flow of life moving through you. These moments are not trivial, they are sacred. The spiritual alignment that occurs during walking is not based on religion or belief systems. It is experiential. It arises from presence, from silence, from the simplicity of movement without distraction. As you walk, you start to notice your surroundings more vividly. A breeze touches your skin differently, the rustle of leaves becomes music, a passing cloud invites wonder instead of distraction. This shift in perception is more than just relaxation. It is awakening. It is remembering what it means to be alive, and in that state, you are no longer separate from the world. You are a part of it, moving with it, breathing with it, harmonizing with it. Spiritual alignment also means returning to your center. In daily life, it's easy to be pulled in 1,000 directions. Work demands your attention. Relationships pull your emotions. Screens steal your focus. Over time, this leads to a deep feeling of disconnection from others, from the moment, and ultimately from yourself. But walking reverses that. In those few minutes of simple, deliberate movement, there is no external demand, no pressure, no expectation. There is just you, your body moving through space and time. That simplicity becomes a mirror, and in it, you see your real self again. Not the stressed-out version, not the overachiever or the exhausted parent or the overwhelmed student. Just you, stripped down to essence. That recognition is healing. It restores dignity to your experience. There's also something profoundly spiritual about consistency. A daily 5-minute walk, done not out of duty but out of devotion, becomes a ritual. A ritual is different from a routine. A routine is what you do to get things done. A ritual is what you do to remember what matters. That daily walk becomes your quiet prayer, your way of saying, I am here, I am alive, I am choosing to return. It may not be dramatic, it may not be visible to others, but inside it is a return to soul. Over time, this ritual begins to fill you with something no achievement or possession ever could: wholeness. The spiritual benefits of walking also emerge from solitude. In today's hyper-connected world, moments of solitude are rare, but solitude is where the soul speaks loudest. During your walk, when no one is watching, when no one is demanding anything of you, you begin to listen differently. You begin to hear your intuition. You begin to feel the quiet stirrings of dreams you'd forgotten, desires you'd suppressed, questions you hadn't dared to ask. In that space, something honest begins to arise. Walking becomes a gateway not only to better health but to deeper truth. It is where you meet yourself again, not the polished, edited, online version, but the raw, real, breathing being who is still becoming. And sometimes, spiritual alignment simply means feeling connected to something greater. You may not call it God or the universe or nature, but during those quiet steps you might feel it, a presence, a peace, a sense that you are not alone. That life is not random, that there is rhythm and intelligence and design behind the chaos. In the gentle sway of your arms, in the rise and fall of your feet, in the quiet space between steps, you find the thread again. You begin to trust, not just yourself, but the process of life. And in a world so quick to rush and panic, trust becomes a radical act. There is also healing in movement. Trauma, grief, and emotional pain often get stored in the body. Words can only go so far in processing them, but movement, especially intentional, repetitive movement like walking, gives the soul a chance to release. As you move, you feel. As you feel, you heal. Tears may rise. Old memories may surface, but they come not to torment you. They come to leave. They come to be honored, to be acknowledged, and then to be walked through. 5 minutes of walking, done with presence, can become 5 minutes of sacred release, of letting go, of liberation. This is the unseen dimension of walking that few ever talk about. It is not about counting steps or reaching fitness goals. It is about returning to your center, touching the silence within, and remembering that beneath all you're doing, you are being. That you are whole, that you are enough, and that you are part of something far greater than yourself. So when you walk, whether it's through a park, down a hallway, or around your room, know that you are engaging in an act of alignment. You are not just exercising, you are harmonizing. You are resetting not just your body or your brain, but your very being. You are making space in a crowded world. You are opening doors inside yourself that no one else can unlock. You are finding peace, not outside you, but within you. That is the power of just 5 minutes. It is a key to your own presence, a bridge between the noise and the stillness, a quiet revolution of spirit. You may begin for your health, you may continue for your clarity, but one day you will walk simply because it makes you feel whole again, and that is when you will understand. These 5 minutes are not just part of your day, they are part of your awakening.